Welcome to Head Noise, a place to be vulnerable, open, and yourself. Make sure to join in as we are live as we chat with our guests who are here to share their experiences and wisdom. And this, after all, is content we hope will help you. Without further ado, please welcome your host, Philip.
Hey everybody, it is another episode of Head Noise. Welcome, and we're live with quite possibly one of the most amazing guys I've spoken to in the last 3 or 4 months of my life. Maybe more, but we'll talk about that later. John Templeton is a life coach, and God, he's so many other things. I could be reading off a website, but I'm just going to ask him to introduce himself. John, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm really great, Phil. Thank you for having me here.
You're amazing, dude. Tell me all. It's on the website, which we'll post for everyone to look at. But life coach is just one of those things. Ex-Army Special Forces, physical instructor, Guinness World Record holder and national champion, successful strategic investor, you've trained professional athletes, Olympic athletes, and celebrities. Spoken alongside Tony Robbins, one of my faves, Robin Sharma, Dr. Deepak Chopra, and Dr. John Demartini, and you're happily married. Like, how do you do all that? It's a mystery.
I think a big part of it is, a big part of it is actually coming from pain inside me, not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough. That's what drove a lot of it. But then also having the courage to step into your greatness, to step into what's possible for you. And I know that a lot of it came from not feeling worthy and good enough deep down. That's what drove me to achieve and to strive for success. So you could say that a lot of pain drove all that success. But at the end of the day, I believe the greatest success is to be ourselves, to be authentic, to do what we love doing, to be inspired, to live a meaningful life. And so all of those things I appreciate so much that a lot of people will look at those things as quite incredible. I think true greatness comes from something much deeper within us than what we achieve on the outside.
I think you're being very humble, but I appreciate where that sentiment comes from. And honestly, I can't resonate enough with the not feeling good enough mentality. It's something I go through on a regular basis. It's why I started this podcast, just because there's more people like me out there that suffer from depression, anxiety, and all of the above, really, and a lot more. And mental health is not just, as you encapsulate in what you do. It's not just mental wellness. It's like it's physical wellness, it's financial wellness, it's all of the above, and so many things play into our mental health that sometimes we overlook things that are just very, very simple. And believing in ourselves is one of those things. What was the catalyst for you to go on your journey? I mean, to speak alongside Tony Robbins is probably the pinnacle, but where did it all start for you?
I don't feel that there is a start and an end to life, if you know what I mean. Every event leads into the next. If we really want to go to the start, there must have been something that occurred in my childhood where I didn't feel seen and heard, I didn't feel validated, and I wanted my mum's love. I wanted her validation so bad that it pushed me to succeed. And as a kid, I played football. I'm from England, and I played from other people's soccer. I played at a really high level. I represented all representative teams right up to the national level. So I was in the New Zealand Development Academy when I moved to New Zealand. And my whole life has just been about competing and winning, because winning meant validation, and validation meant I was worthy and I was good enough. So yeah, that was the driving force for sure. And you said you've struggled with let's call it like low self-worth, not feeling good enough.
Yeah.
I want to say that actually everybody has that. There's a primordial feeling inside everybody that we're not good enough. And you might look at successful people, and truth is they have it too. They have it. But there are two ways we express it. We either shrink and hide a little bit, which is where most people go, oh, that person is carrying some low self-worth, not feeling good enough. depression is another symptom of that. But the other way is to overcompensate and overachieve and become some kind of, there's sort of like the victim mentality, which is when life beats you, and then there's the victor mentality where you compensate. And so even amongst, Tony Robbins is a great example. I can guarantee you, deep within him is a feeling of not being good enough. And if you watch some of his recent, he's in his 60s now, and some of his, he'll say, what drives me? Like, I'm hard on myself. I beat myself up. I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I don't feel like I'm good enough. And that drives him. So
Yeah.
that can be the fuel. That can be the fuel for change.
It's no secret, my viewers and my friends and family members all know quite a bit of what I've gone through over the last just 5 years. But, I'm now separated, on the verge of finalizing or going through a divorce. And that is a huge part of everything, the self-worth side of things. My mental health didn't help. And, it took a lot for me to realize that I have to own my portion of the relationship. It's very easy to blame the other person and just be like, why are you leaving me? Like, it's a whole different, dynamic. But, I've really changed my perspective. You're going to laugh when I tell you that watching Ted Lasso and hearing him say a Walt Whitman quote really was the catalyst for me to go and stop looking at things just in a very negative way and start asking questions. So the quote that I say almost every week at this point is, be curious, not judgmental. And so now I'm more questionable about things, and I'm less like fly off the handle, get upset about things. And it's really helped me kind of deal with situations, but I still have that negative kind of feeling about myself when, in all relationships and all things, you don't always see eye to eye, and you have different things, especially when there's a separation involved. There's a lot of emotions. And when people say negative things, while you don't believe them necessarily, they start making you think about them a little bit more. And so you start questioning decisions you've made and all that kind of stuff. And it's really, really difficult. But, I feel like it's just about pushing through. I say that a lot. In Ireland, it was mental health before mental health was a thing. And I hate saying that as well, because mental health was always a thing. But before it was recognized as something that we need to really pay attention to, I grew up and all of my peers and my friends would just, suck it up. Come on, push through. And it wasn't helpful. But now I find myself trying to do that with this self-worth feeling, Yeah, go ahead.
There's so much I could say. I feel like this conversation might go on for a while, and that's because there's just, so much we can unpack here, and so much I feel that I can give you and the audience. I've experienced the same thing after a relationship. I just felt like a piece of shit. In fact, I went through years of depression and low self-worth to the point I couldn't even get an erection. I could not. I felt like my manhood was gone. My manliness was gone. My testosterone was down. I just felt so small. And I was on the being dumped side of a relationship, and I was already going through a rough time. I was going through a rough time financially, and that was just a kick in the guts. And that really brought about the low self-worth. And that's the first thing. The second thing I'll say is, you're obviously going through a tough time. I went through 3 years of really bad depression and suicidal thoughts, but those are the times that shape our character. And so how you navigate this is going to set you up for the next phase of your life. And within every curse is a blessing. And right now you're going through the curse, but there's wisdom in it. And I know that when you get the wisdom, it's like a spiral. We go around in life, but if we learn a lesson, we go up a level. So instead of just going around in a circle, we sort of come back around, but we've gone up a degree of, I would say like a degree of wisdom, a degree of authenticity, a degree of awareness. And so unpack depression. I can unpack low self-worth, and I wouldn't, your friends gave you that advice, and I got the same thing. And this is people's opinions are quite cheap because
Yeah.
a person can only give an opinion from their own perspective, but that doesn't
Yeah.
help because they're not you and they're not going through what you've been through. And I
Right.
would see therapists, and therapists would give me their opinion, and it used to frustrate me because they weren't looking at it from my perspective. And so the last time I saw a therapist when I was going through this tough time, she said something and it felt wrong. I was like, this isn't good advice. And I went and meditated, because there was something inside of me saying, because I was lost and confused, so I wanted help. But the help I got, it didn't feel right. And so I went to interrogate that feeling inside of me that was telling me she's not guiding you in the right way. And that inner voice inside of me, call it intuition, I had been so disconnected from it. I was stuck with my beliefs about not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, having finances really wrecked me. Losing a lot of money really wrecked me
Yeah.
because my self-esteem was tied to that. But eventually I just went inside, and there was this voice inside which I hadn't really spent much time communicating with, that it just knew. It knew the truth. And so I started to listen to that inner voice much, much more, which led to years of meditating. And this is how I dug myself out of a hole of depression, a hole of self-esteem issues, and got myself back on my feet. Because all of the success I'd had, it was really a bit of a front. It was I mean, it was great, but it was a bit of a front. It wasn't coming from a meaningful place within me. And so after meditating a lot and really getting in touch with who I was at my core, the depression disappeared. It dissolved. It completely dissolved. The self-worth dissolved. And the reason was because that thing inside of us, call it the soul, the authentic self, that doesn't need to be validated. That doesn't need someone else's opinion to say whether you're good enough or not.
Right.
Inside every being is unlimited potential to create and live a really fulfilling and abundant life, but we're so disconnected from it. I would say 99% of people haven't even really got in touch with who they truly are. And it's our emotions and our beliefs that block us from having that experience. Anyway, I went through a lot of meditation and really got in touch with who I was. And after that, this is why I decided to write a book about it called Authenticity, was because there is a roadmap, and your friends wouldn't be able to give you any insights apart from suck it up. There is a roadmap, but what the roadmap involves is going inward. It really involves going inward, feeling your emotions, looking, because every emotion, and this includes depression, and I'd love to get how you feel about this, but every emotion, including depression, is nothing more than a perception of loss. We perceived that we've lost something. It's that simple. And when I realized that my perception of loss of status based on loss of finances was what was actually causing me depression, I started to go ask myself, I call it contemplation. So I use 3 tools: meditation, contemplation, and affirmations. But I used contemplation to go, if I had no money, who would I be? And what would be the benefit of me being poor? And I started to realize that even if I had no money, I would still be me. I could still make someone laugh. I had all of my wisdom I could share and make someone's day better. And I realized that having my worth attached to money, for me, for you, it might be attached to some men. Usually it's status related. But I realized that my perception was I was losing my status, my money, my identity. And that was what was really at the core causing my depression. And so emotions are nothing more than perceptions of either loss or gain. When we gain something we want, we experience positive emotions. When we lose something we want, we experience negative emotions. And when we go inside and we really spend time reflecting on our thoughts, our beliefs, the emotions inside us, we can dissolve all of those things, get in touch with who we really are. And that's what sets us free to step into our power and be inspired rather than motivated.
And, I really want to speak to that because for me, I'll be honest, I didn't want to let go of my marriage. I didn't want to let go of it was more of the idea. I call it being old school, but it's not really old school. It's, I got married in a church and in front of God, and I said till death do us part. And I was really clinging on to that ideal. But now sitting in my own place and, all that, like I've found myself again. I felt like I sacrificed so much of myself just to maintain a relationship that was not real, because we were both unhappy. We're both going through the depression. Sorry. And the blame game was being played, where we didn't know why we were depressed. We didn't know why we were upset. We didn't know why any of this was happening. And it was easy to blame the other person. Now, I've grown in the sense that I know my part in that whole thing was, she was trying. She tried many, many times, but I was not there. I just was not receptive. I was still going through my own stuff. And by the time I was in a place, she had already bought her ticket and checked out. And so it's, I would never knock her as a person because she's the mother to my children. But I feel like if I could reverse time and sit both of our characters down as individuals and say, this is about to happen. You need to give them this amount of time, and then you need to give yourself this amount of time. And then you're actually both going to be healed, and then you can have that conversation. But we both didn't know that. And so I'm happier without that relationship, obviously, because now I can be myself. I can do podcasting again. I've gotten into writing songs. I'm dabbling in writing poetry. I want to write a children's book. Like, creation is how I've dealt with my depression in so many ways, because it keeps the mind busy, and it doesn't focus my mind on the negativity side, which is, that feeling of loss. I'm going to tell you right now, I pulled my 401k to make rent, and it's a real problem for me. And so that failure and the attachment that I have is because I don't want to fail my kids. I have my kids 90% of the time. Because of work schedules and stuff with her. She has them for 3 anyway, that's beside the point. I don't want to fail my children. And so my desire is to really put my best forward, and why I lead with the quote unquote Ted Lasso, Walt Whitman positivity is because I want my kids to see that I'm not going to play into the negative side. I'm going to lead with my best foot forward and react to things in a positive way, even when most of society would forgive me if I basically said fuck off or whatever, right? Like, that is what I want my kids to see. So when they grow up, they can go, despite all of the challenges, Dad still kept his ideals. But again, I sit here and, I don't know if you've tried dating in the modern world, but it's like this, it's swiping left and right. Like, you're this powerful human being that can choose who they can be with. And it's ambiguous and very presumptuous of you to think, oh, hey, I'm going to like this person, and then I get to be with them. It's just so odd for me. It's like, I've been out of the dating world for so long. I used to just go to a bar and get lucky. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is a nice chick, I'll go talk to her. If and when I had the confidence to, now it's this COVID built world where we're behind a screen and nobody knows how to be social and interact. And it's just a very difficult place to be. And so, yeah, my depression is centered around not being good enough to find a person that resonates with my desire to be affectionate, my desire to be to love hard, as they say. It's a quote that is banded around quite a bit. And there's also that whole thing about everyone just presuming you're fake, that you're a bad guy, that you're just trying to get laid and leave them alone. And so you're constantly fighting against the mechanism that's being built. So that's a very long-winded answer to your situation and in question, but like, that's literally what people go through. And it's not just me that go through that. It's relationships are tough. I have a friend that has kids and they're trying to find love somewhere else, and it's very taxing on them. You just never feel good enough, ever. And then when you do find someone, you're fighting to like that desperation. It's like, oh my gosh. And then you're so desperate, you scare them away because they're not ready for that quick commitment. It's just crazy.
100%. our emotions drive our life. And if our emotions aren't in check, we're going to repeat patterns and go through cycles. And my question for you is, and it's up to you if you want to answer it, is are you still sacrificing yourself anywhere?
That's a difficult one because I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe. I don't go out. Like, here's the thing. As a parent, we sacrifice. There are sacrifices we make just to be a parent. So I don't consider those sacrifices as such. It's like a swap. It's like a responsibility that you assumed. Do I go out as much? No. Do I go out and do karaoke and DJ anymore? No. But I've assumed different things. Like I've started doing podcasting. I've started writing music. I've started all these other things. But it's a lonely life.
Can I ask another question? Is why do you want a relationship?
Because companionship I want to enjoy the world with someone that appreciates the things that I appreciate, and kind of coming home to someone and feeling, having someone to like. It's not necessarily your best friend or any of that stuff, but like, honestly, I don't know. It's a feeling. It's just like I being alone is no fun for anybody, but like also the intimacy, the just being each other's rock, I suppose. I mean, you can look at celebrities and be like, why are those two together? And like Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, perfect example, falling apart live on TV. But like they're still together. And so there's something there that there's validity to. I want to be with someone that appreciates me for me. I go through the love languages thing and find someone that speaks that whole thing. But like, I'm a very affectionate person, and that's kind of just who I need to find in my life that can enjoy the same things I enjoy. And I just want to enjoy life. It's not necessarily the need to have a partner. It's having someone on the same intellectual level as me that maybe support me in my journey, or just be a positive force that I can be affectionate with. Does that? I don't know if that makes sense. Is that an answer? Maybe it is. I don't know.
It is not. Yeah, it's an answer. Yeah, I'm curious. I know that human beings, we're meant to be partnered. That's why one of us has a penis and the other has a vagina. Like we're two halves that create a whole.
Right.
That's the physical aspect of us as beings. It's to have sex and reproduce and keep the species going. And then there's the emotional aspect to us, and there is a masculine energy and a feminine energy, and that isn't man and woman. That's like being competitive, for example, is a masculine quality, and being compassionate is a feminine quality. And
I think emotionally, though, that's what I don't necessarily. Well, physical intimacy is something that I love. Like it's something that I would want from my partner. I think what I want from a partner now is much more than that, because sex is not something to base a relationship off. Like it's.
But there's a higher principle that I want to share, because it's the law of karma, or the law of cause and effect, and which essentially states the more we want something, the more it evades us. The more we want to avoid something, the more it chases us. And so the idea of manifestation, which you may or may not have delved into, is the things that are sort of meant for us come to us when we no longer are chasing them. And you see this with people chasing money. They'll chase money and it will just evade them, and it will evade them their whole life until they no longer need it. And when I say need, it's this emotional need. So wealth for me validated me. And the more I chased it, the more it slipped through my fingers. When I no longer chased it, it just came flooding in. Yeah. Same with my marriage. I went through these devastating relationships and cycles. And you said it earlier, which is great. We have to take responsibility. If that's the only thing we can do as humans is be responsible for our thoughts. Yeah. Not even our actions, because our actions follow our thoughts. So when we take 100% responsibility for what we're thinking, that's where a master lives. Someone who is masterful is they're switched on with their thinking. And so with my marriage, the same thing occurred. I realized that I wanted a relationship, and I had to meditate on this for a few months, because I saw the patterns playing out, and I said, this is me creating these patterns. It's not the woman's fault, it's my fault. And so I sat and I journaled and I wrote, and I realized that I want a woman for two reasons. One, to support me. I wanted to be supported, because I noticed that I would go into a relationship and then my life would kind of get better, and I would start to be more successful in business, and all these great things happen. And then my pride would kind of kick in, and I would push them away again. And then my life would decline. So I was running this pattern of behavior, and this went on for years, where I would bring that feminine energy in to support me. I felt loved, I felt worthy, I felt good enough, I would be more successful. And then the masculine energy the pride would sort of push them away a little bit. And so I went, well, that's one pattern that's occurring. And another pattern was, I wanted a really attractive partner because it validated me as a man, if you've got a good looking woman. And so I was like, those two emotional baggage that I had, and it's not in the traditional sense. It wasn't like I had kids, or there wasn't a physical baggage I was carrying. It was, I was using these women essentially, and I didn't know this was happening. I just thought I wanted a girlfriend or a partner. That's what I thought in my head. But when I explored why, I'm like, why do I want this? It was because I wanted to be validated, and it was because I felt supported when there was a woman in my life. And so I knew that if I had those emotional needs within me, it was never going to happen, because the law of cause and effect. So I sat down and I went, anytime, I deleted all of the apps of dating and all of that. And I went through my contemplation process of looking at every single time I wanted connection. I didn't want to be alone. I wanted a partner. And I would journal on why, until I realized that, forget about it. I'm looking for something outside of me to come in and make my life better, it's disempowering. So instead of looking for validation in having money or having a beautiful woman, it was validate yourself, like believe in yourself that you are enough as you are. So that was a healing journey on its own, realizing that there were some nights I would lie in bed and just sit with I used to imagine what it would feel like having a supportive partner, and I would feel really good about myself. And then I realized I was just imagining it. I was just envisioning it. It wasn't real, but I felt good in myself. So then I started to feel good without having the physical world sort of give me that feeling. And over a few months of meditating and sitting with that feeling inside, it just started to be natural. I felt like I'm supported. I didn't need a female to come in. I could provide that for myself. The same with the validation. I just meditated until I felt valid within me without needing a woman or money to validate me. And the more I did that, the more I gave myself those resources. And then I felt free, because I didn't spend my time, money, or energy on chasing women, which is freaking exhausting, because I did it for years.
It really is.
Yeah,
I mean, Jesus. I pity everyone that's doing that right now, because honestly, it is exhausting. It's like I said, it's the swiping, it's the constant "Am I good enough?" question in your head.
It is. It's mad, honestly. And I suggest just stop. Follow what inspires you, because that's what I started to realize, that all of this time, money, energy, my resources were going through these emotional threads of not feeling good enough, wanting to be validated. And I thought, when I contained that energy within me, and money and time, I felt way more abundant. Like I had all of these resources. And what I did was just start focusing on what I wanted to give in my life, what I wanted to create, the business I was building. And all of a sudden, because when you're authentic, you become magnetic. If you're looking for things in the outside world to fulfill you or to support you, you're not magnetic. You're gravitational. You're like a heavy weight that's looking for things to pull in.
Yeah, you're just
Whereas when you're in your power, you're radiational, and that is just, when you radiate, it's magnetic. And then within this was my experience. Within a couple of weeks, wasn't expecting it, bumped into a girl at the gym. Here we are, 2 and a bit years later, married, and my whole life changed. My whole life changed when I stopped looking outside of myself for company, for support. And I just again, I'll happily dive into this, but I'm not a believer in positivity, positive thinking, and negativity. And so I started to go, what positive things could a woman add to my life? And you might say support, companionship, intimacy. And then what I did, I went, okay, what bad things come with those good things? And so it was like less time, less money. And there's a science to this, right? This is a core part of my teaching and what I write about in my book, is that when our perceptions are balanced, because if we think something is going to bring positivity in our life, we become excited and we become emotionally invested in it. If we think something's going to bring negativity into our life, we become fearful. And again, we invest our resources in avoiding it. So we avoid fearful things and we seek exciting things. When we're centered, so when we look at a female, not that they're an object, but when we look at a potential partner and we see them not as something to bring in or push away, we just see them wholly and truly as they are. That's unconditional love. And then the relationship is built on authenticity, not emotional needs or neediness or attachment. It's just clean, it's pure, and that's true unconditional love. And so that's amazing. That's what I believe. That's my prescription.
John, that's amazing. And honestly, your insight is just, I can hear my struggle, but my fight to think the same way. Like I've gone down that path. I'm not quite as far down the road as you are. But like the truth of the matter is that I have found that being more like finding myself again has just brought me a lot more happiness. Like doing this with you right now, like being more productive, being just like creative or whatever makes me happy has made me more centered, and I've gotten more attention from females or not. Like it doesn't really matter. Like the biggest strength that I have right now is that I have a group of friends around me that are so amazing and so supportive, and they don't like stand in front of me and tell me what to do. They don't tell me, they encourage me. They like build on the positive energy that I might be like building up, but also like words of affirmation, like good job, yeah, well done today, how did you do on the interview, okay, cool, that's awesome, keep doing what you're doing a good, like just that kind of stuff. And yes, I don't necessarily need that, but those are the people that really build you up. I don't know if this is something that you resonate with or not, but like for me, I always tell people, if you're like, first of all, in business, I always say you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. It's the definition of insanity. And so for me, that's the same kind of thing with friendships and your social circle. If you're constantly meeting the same kind of people and being brokenhearted and all this kind of stuff, and you feel like you're centered and you're putting the work in, you're doing the mental journey of going to therapy and really making yourself whole, so to speak, whether that's reading your book and finding your methods or finding your own methods. I really truly believe that it's like stepping outside the comfort zone and finding something that isn't necessarily as easy as the last few things. Like one of my friends, just because she's been hurt so many times before, it's like when there's like a version of happiness that's there, it's almost like she recoils away and is like, oh no, it's just going to hurt me, I'm going to run away. And so like I said to her, I was like, for me, I have all those fears. I have those fears that when I meet someone that it's going to end badly. But if you let those fears run my life, I'm never going to be happy. I lean into it, acknowledging that there's a certain amount of risk, and with everything, there's a certain amount of risk. But like when I did stand-up comedy for 6 years, I didn't become famous, but it didn't stop me from wanting to do other productive things that may put me in the spotlight or put me in front of people. So I think it's just about a growing as a person and as kind of your own entity, and just feeling comfortable within yourself to be able to put yourself in front of someone and be just you. And you're right, like sitting in front of a girl, like there's so many movies, you can see it all the time, where the guy's trying to chat up the girl next to whatever, and there's a guy just drinking a drink and he's just nonchalantly. That was kind of stupid, wasn't it? Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna go back to my hotel room, and all of a sudden, that girl's like, "You're not interested. You're not begging to like kiss my feet or anything." And then he's bedding a woman. It's exactly the same kind of methodology. It's if you're just bending over backwards and being needy, you're doing the opposite of what you're trying to achieve. It's
called paradoxical intention. So I have a client I work with, and she is she's looking for love, and as she dates, she gets needy and she says stupid things, and before she messages the person she's dating, she gets all weird, right? And all fear, I said earlier, all emotion
yes
is all emotion is perception of loss or gain. And so when we're fearful, if you go into, you mentioned before, you could go into a relationship and you're fearful it's going to hurt. That again is just an attachment to an outcome. So fear is a perception of future loss. It's not true. It's an illusion. It's a made-up story in the mind based on memory. And so when we dissolve that, we dissolve the fear. Anyway, paradoxical intention. This girl, she was fearful that he would talk to other people. Right. And she started to feel insecure within herself. And so I taught her what a paradoxical intention is. And this isn't what I believe the most optimal way. I believe the most optimal way is to heal the part of you that's unworthy and fearful. But I said to her, okay, instead of worrying about him talking to other women, encourage him to talk to other women, right?
Yeah.
So instead of her worrying, she then said, hey, it's okay. Go and talk to other women. I don't mind. And what does that do? It's like reverse psychology in a way. It's the paradoxical intention. So she said, go and talk to other women. I don't mind. And he then thought, wow, she's fucking confident. She's like,
exactly, right?
You know, right? And so he came in closer. Now, because she hadn't really healed what was lying beneath, she could only keep up the paradoxical intention for... We've got a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind is our memories. And that's where we store our pain and trauma and emotion. And so consciously, she could do the paradoxical intention. But when pressure and stress comes in, our unconscious mind kicks in. So she couldn't keep it up. But it proved to her that if she really worked through her feelings of not being good enough and her shame, men would come flocking to her. And this might sound crazy to many people, but it's physics. It's true physics. It's like a magnet. You can't see the energetic field of a magnet, but a positive and negative magnet will come together. So when we get ourselves into that magnetic state, it's just like a magnet. And so I rely on the science and physics of it, not just ideas and opinions. And a big part of it is if we're wounded from our past and our fears are running us, then we're going to be repulsive. And I don't mean that as in like we're disgusting, but a magnet that repels. And so by clearing up our fears, regaining our self-worth, we become magnetic, and the outside world just reflects the inside world. So if anyone wants something in the outside world, don't chase it. Become the person that has it. And I will happily talk into how this happens, why it happens, how to make it happen. But the outside world will just always mirror who we are within our love life, within our financial life, within our business, within how we lead, whether it's a company, a business, a fucking country. It's all just a reflection of who we are as a person.
You're going down a dangerous road there with the country side of things. I don't talk politics on here for a reason. But John, you're amazing. You're really inspirational. This conversation could be 3 or 4 hours long. Honestly, you're just that kind of a person, and I really appreciate you coming on the show. But I would be a terrible host if I didn't give you some kind of a plug, because you deserve to at least have people, and they deserve to have someone like you that's accessible. The ticker that's on the bottom of the screen right there is actually your website. When you go to John's website, it is very accessible. Everything that he does is accessible. The mission, the book, his profile, everything. You give it 10 minutes. And if you resonate with any of it, watch the rest of this show. And if you've just joined us, watch it from the beginning, because you will fall in love with this guy as much as I have today. He's just phenomenal. And honestly, like, it's the mindsets that you're preaching and that you're really opening up. It's so enriching. It's like it's so beyond what people are already doing. It's like, instead of like a mental health person coming in here and telling me that what they think or their opinions, you're saying find your own opinion. Like, it's such a different and much more refreshing version of how to heal yourself. And I really truly appreciate that outlook. This is not me wrapping up the show by any means, but we've had such an enriching conversation. I just really wanted to make sure that people saw that ticker on the bottom. And we've had people bouncing in and out and taking a look and everything. And my show is very accessible. You can ask questions. I've also had my my phone number that you can text, and my email that you can email any questions if you have any. And if you wanted to connect with John, just through me. If not, go to his website, johntempleton.io. It's and everyone was worried that they wouldn't understand your accent. Well, guess what? I understand everything that you're saying, and they always make fun of me too. My nickname is Lucky Charms. It's fun. But going back to your whole profile, like, you help out celebrities, and that's something that I was hoping that my resident co-host would be here tonight, but unfortunately she wasn't able to make it again. But that's something that people take for granted a lot of the time, that, like, these celebrities, they're almost inhuman because they're achieving such greatness in quote unquote normal people's lives, that they've made movies and they've got $1 kajillion or whatever is in their bank account, and they feel, and people just think that they're the happiest they could ever be. And that's not necessarily the case. I don't need you to tell me who you've seen, because that's obviously private, but like, do you find that a lot with when you see clients that are just, they hear that you're dealing with celebrities and they're just like, I'm sure all the celebrities are just super happy. They just want to know, they want affirmation. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a crazy thing, but I've been fortunate.
I would say it's the opposite. I would say it's the opposite. Jim Carrey has a well-known quote, which is, I wish everybody was rich and famous, because they'd realize it's not the answer. And I would say that there's a book called The Primal Scream by Dr. Arthur Janov. It's about healing. And what he quotes in that book as well, that does Hollywood damage people, or do damaged people seek Hollywood? And this reverts back to what I said at the start of the call, is if someone needs to be famous, then deep within them is massive amounts of invalidation, of low self-worth. Our whole life is run on polarity. And so we only chase that which is missing within us. And, if celebrities are chasing fame and fortune, it begs the question of what's missing so deeply within them that drives them to want that level of success. And I can say from experience that success is not fulfilling.
No.
But doing what's meaningful can be successful and fulfilling. So I would encourage people to not look at the shiny stars, not look at the glamour of the world, but instead to find something deeply meaningful to them and turn that into their career. Because then success is more than likely a natural byproduct, because when you love something and it's meaningful to you, you work hard at it, you get good at it, and then you become an expert at it, and you can charge great money for it. But doing what we love is, I say there are 3 levels to happiness or fulfillment. At the beginning, it's about what we have in our life, the people, the maybe the money, the items. Then it's about what we do. And at the highest level, our fulfillment is found in who we are as a person. And so I would say focus on that. Find your fulfillment within yourself, and then put that into the world. And you'll find that success won't be something you chase. You'll chase meaning, and you won't even chase it. You'll just be living a meaningful existence, and that is the gold mine. And so, tying this back to celebrities, I would really, my wife and I talked about this the other day. A lot of people who, let's say, have nothing, they're on their knees, life's really beating them up. they could look to someone with wealth and fame and say, well, you've got everything. The truth is, a wealthy and famous person has equally, and I mean equally, as many problems as someone who is not wealthy and not famous. So money doesn't get rid of problems. Fame doesn't get rid of problems. Both ways of life have their pros and their cons. So the ultimate way to escape, I say there's two pathways to hell. One is to have nothing that you want, and one is to have everything that you want. Because when you realize that having everything that you want is unfulfilling, and you have nothing that you want is unfulfilling, you go, well, how do I get out of this trap? To find heaven on earth, it's not about gaining what you want. It's about finding something meaningful to commit yourself to, contributing to others, following your aspirations, and being an inspired individual. And so chasing either extreme, either polarity or trying to avoid this pathway to hell, nihilism, or having everything you want, which is nihilism again. When you get everything you want and you're still not happy, they're both nihilistic. The middle path is the way, and the middle path is the path of meaning. The word meaning literally means the mean, the average, the middle. And so when you find meaning, you find the middle path, you stop chasing a positive future, you stop trying to avoid a negative future. The path of meaning, that's the sweet spot. That's when you're truly yourself. That's when you're authentic. That's when you're inspired. And that is the road to living in heaven on earth, you could say.
Yeah, 100%. You have some great sayings. I just want to say that right now. Like, I wish you should, like, that's your next book right there. Is just a bunch of like really amazing quotes. I do want to say though, like, it is very poignant that you mention, happiness and chasing and success and everything, and doing things that you love. I love doing this, and people always ask me, "Oh, wow, you should do it and make money at it." And I was like, yeah, "Do you think I don't want to make money at it? I would love to make money at this. I would love it. But if I chase that, I'm just going to be disappointed. It's going to be so exhausting trying to find sponsors and people that just want to pay me money to do stuff. It would be too exhausting for me to do that. I would rather, I say this every week, in all the things that I create, whether it's a music podcast, a mental health podcast, a chat show, whatever it is, if I resonate with one person, that's all I want. I've done what I've wanted. Like, if I get 100 people, even better. But I enjoy it. I've met an amazing guy in New Zealand. When would I ever meet someone in New Zealand if I didn't get on a plane? So, like, I look at the positive things and I try and push the positivity back out into the world with the mindset that if I push enough of that positivity in the world, it'll rebound off of something, and I might, you know what I mean? It might work, but like I do this because I really do want to help people who've gone through things. And in my own experience, I didn't know where to look, and I still have struggles where I can't find places to find resources that I need. But not everyone has to go through that, and this is so accessible. YouTube's everywhere. John's book is international, so it's not like you have to go to New Zealand just to experience the amazing brain that is John's. So, like, that's the goal here, is that this simple conversation that we've had that's very deep and meaningful and very enriching is that someone finds that and goes, I love that. Like, I want to know more, and then goes to your website, and then, then you benefit from that as well. But also that person then finds some meaning, actually gets out of the hole that they're in. You know what I'm saying?
I want to plant a seed in your head. And so this is up to you to either filter it out and say that is not what I believe in, or go spend some time thinking about it.
Okay.
And that is that whether people like it or not, money is critical to survive and thrive in life.
Yes.
It is our medium of exchange. You could say it is the ultimate survival tool because you can buy food with it.
Yes.
In the apocalypse, you could buy a bunker if you had enough money, right?
Preaching to the choir. I'll start singing the same hymn tune over here. Go on.
So I would not be attached to money, but also not reject money. And the seed I want to plant is find what you love, and maybe it's the music side, maybe it's this podcast side, and again, take it or leave it. This is just my opinion. Double down on one thing and
Yes.
focus so wholly on one thing that you become the best in the world at it. And I mean that genuinely. It's not, if I don't become the best in the world, I'm not good enough, because becoming the best in the world never ends. It is a daily decision to improve. That's all. And I would say find the one thing and then commit to that, make a daily decision to just move the needle a little bit. And what happens in a year might be nothing. What happens in a decade might be insane. And if you upskill yourself psychologically, if you upskill yourself with your wealth mindset, with your business skills, I believe that there are 7 areas of life that it is wise to empower. And any area of life that we fail to empower, we're gonna suffer in. And so a lot of people don't empower themselves financially. They suffer financially. People don't empower themselves in business. Their business crumbles. Business is difficult. Like 5% of business here or there make it. And so I would say commit yourself to empowering those areas of life. And I say this, maybe I'll get criticized by some, but the masculine aspect of us is usually, not always. I could go into a whole thing about psychology and even animals, but the masculine aspect is the competitive aspect that goes out there and gets the job done. And to be a leader, which is again the masculine role, is to lead, having the wisdom, having the finances, those business and finances is usually, not always, the man's role, and the family and kids is often, but not always, the woman's role. But masculinity and femininity, masculinity is going to drive towards creating wealth, creating business. So what the seed I want to plant is, if you become masterful in those areas, one, of course, you'll be magnetic, and we can pretend it doesn't matter. People are just going to love me for who I am, but that's not how psychology works. There's a reason that alpha males sort of attract, they get the lion's share of the females. And I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. Some alpha males are absolute twats. But but there's a truth in that. When you can, I'm not saying you specifically, I'm saying me, I'm saying all, I'll use the word men. When we can find our power and we can step into our masculinity in a healthy way, and we can crush it in business and we can crush it financially, that helps us bring in a mate. Like, it helps with that. You can be more selective when you've climbed that ladder. You can be more selective. So I just want to plant the seed and suggest that it's not a bad thing to have money and be more dominating and go after what you want, because it's going to set you up for success in other areas of life. And the alternative to that is, this is why I asked you earlier, are you still sacrificing? Because if we aren't going after, if we're putting ourselves second to our dream, if we're putting our dreams second, if we're putting ourselves second to other people, if we're playing small, in a way, that's self-sacrifice, because we're not stepping into our power. And I truly believe, it's not something I believe, I know that to play the masculine role well, having money can help a lot. Being good in business can help a lot. Having that competitive edge can help a lot. And that doesn't make you a bad person or an asshole. It's just life. And if we're all here playing the game of life, and I would say that if you can focus on something, again, that's masculine energy, narrow focus. Feminine energy is quite wide focus. But if you can focus on something and really commit to it and become masterful at it, you can make money. And that's just really going to change your life in ways you may not have thought possible. And the only reason I wanted to say that was because I want to see you succeed. I want to see you win.
I appreciate that.
I feel that maybe you needed to hear that, but I don't know.
John, thank you so much. I do want to be successful at this. But success means different things to different people. And so, I think sometimes I water down what that looks like for me, just because it's that fear of not being successful, I guess, in my head. I have quite a few followers, and I have a lot of people that actually, right before we started this, I got a couple of emails looking to be on this show. So more great guests are going to be on this show. But yes, I do need to upskill, because I'm not going to pretend that I am very good at social media. You're probably 10 times better than me at that. I need to get on Twitch and TikTok and all the streaming sites that generate more viewership and everything. But yes, you're right, and I appreciate the challenge. The next question I have for you is, can we be friends? You're cool, dude. Like, serious. But anyway, I do want to highlight your book. So tell me something about your book and where I can buy it, because I can't get enough of you. I want more of this. So do you have a podcast? Why don't you if you don't? Like, what's going on?
I did podcast for a while. If you look on my website and go to the podcast tab, I interviewed some really incredible people. I then changed it to solo because I didn't enjoy interviewing other people. I wanted to get my knowledge and wisdom out there. So I went to a solo podcast, which I've only just started recently. So I do that. But the book, it's not finished yet. So it's a few months away from being published. So I've got a wait list on my website where people can put their email in. But the book is called Authenticity, the Art and Science of Being Your True Self. And it is a bit of my story, and including the breakdown. And then the journey I went on to put the pieces of my life back together. It goes into a bit of philosophy, a bit of psychology, a bit of theology, which is spirituality. And the centerpiece of the book is what I call the map of emotion. When we understand our emotional state and the tools to center ourselves, that's how we empower ourselves. So the map of emotion, I won't go into detail about what it is now, maybe another day, maybe if you want to, we can, but there are eight primary emotions that we can be experiencing at any one time. But to be authentic, we need to essentially transcend our emotions. We need to be present. We need to be authentic. We need to be truthful. And when we're emotional, we're not that. More often than not, we're emotional and we don't even know it, because we haven't sat down and meditated and really looked at the beliefs we have and the thoughts inside our mind. So the whole book maps out patterns of behavior, the perceptions and emotions that drive our behaviors. And then I provide the tools to the contemplation process of balancing our mind so that we're no longer chasing fantasies. We're no longer trying to avoid nightmares. We're just present with what inspires us most. And then every day is it's not about getting somewhere. It's not about reaching a magical place. Like I said, heaven on earth starts now. And so the book lines out the principles for that, and it supplies people with the tools to be able to do that.
Wow. I know I've said this a lot, but you're really amazing. And I truly, truly, truly appreciate you coming on this podcast. We met on Facebook. It was by chance. I put a post on a group. Not everyone thinks this is just done through like the forces of nature or something. I don't know, but legitimately, I put a post on Facebook and said, "Hey, I want to make a podcast." And John Templeton responded. And honestly, it's an absolute blessing that I've met you, and I really appreciate everything that you do. Your podcast, is that like you doing what you're doing right now, just talking energies and your process and all of that?
Yeah, it is. Sometimes I get interviewed on podcasts relatively frequently. So sometimes I'll take a clip of that and just put it on as my own podcast. Maybe I try to keep them around 10 minutes. I just want short, digestible, sharp. I release it once a week, and it could just be a little insightful snippet that someone can listen to as they're walking, to work or they're driving to work or something. So that's how I do it. Every Monday, just a short snippet.
Amazing.
Sometimes I do straight to camera. Sometimes it is a clip from a podcast I've done in the weeks prior.
Amazing. I'll definitely be another one of your followers, because you're phenomenal. We're creeping into the 1 hour mark, and I try not to stretch too far beyond that, just because your respect for your time, and of course, sometimes we get deep, and these viewers have to come up for air, and so. But listen, I want to really, really, really promote John Templeton. I've forgotten the name of it. You're getting everything scrolling across the screen right now. JohnTempleton.io. Please go and see that website. I was amazed. I literally was just doing some research on the guest that had offered his time to me, and I was just in complete awe. I got your one page, and I think I sent it to everyone in my contact list just to say, oh my God, look at this guy. He's amazing. I'm going to have him on my podcast. And that's not a lie. Like, that's legit. I'm very proud of what I'm doing right now, just because it is so crazy that 5 years ago I started a podcast, and I'm still doing what I'm doing, and I have the amount of followers that I have. But I will say this, everyone is in awe of what you do. And everyone came back and was like, wow, this guy's amazing. I want you, please continue to do what you do. And I will have you back as many times as you need to put a 10-minute segment up on your show. You're an absolute blessing. So I really appreciate you being on the show today.
Philip, I appreciate that so much, more than you could imagine. And hey, maybe I will take you up on that offer when the book's published. And yeah,
phenomenal. Yeah, I need to get a copy of it. Can we work a deal? maybe.
Signed copy.
Yeah, there we go. Signed copy. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This has been another amazing episode of Head Noise. We will be back again next Tuesday. Every time is 6 p.m. Same bat time, same bat channel. And we'll have another amazing guest. I'm still securing who it is for next week, because I have so many people that are interested. But I can guarantee you that it will be insightful and hopefully very inspirational. But John, once again, thank you so much. The inspiration doesn't cease when I talk to you. We could go on for hours. We should make a movie or something. But legitimately, that is all from me. Go with grace, guys, and we'll see you again next week.